welcome to Shoulder Tap, Topstep Nation. I am Jack, joined by risk manager extraordinaire Mick. Mick, it's Monday. How you doing?
What's up? I'm okay. I'm good. It was, a nice weekend, a busy weekend, getting ready for an extended trip out of town next month. I didn't get out on the golf course. Did you get out on the golf course?
I did get out on the golf course. My parents were nice enough to pick up my son and take him to see Bluey.
Oh,
Actually,
okay.
a person in a Bluey mascot get up. So that was nice of them. And yeah, lovely day out there.
Sweet.
Saw
How'd you hit him?
JD and Gabe. Good. I was hitting good. Yeah.
Good. You usually
All
do.
right. Yeah. Yeah. So,
Uh,
well, we got a whole fresh week here with tons of traders trading well, maybe some that need some guidance. So, who we got
yeah,
to shout out to?
we've got some stuff to cover here. So, speaking of the golf, I'll move on. But speaking of the golf, I got a funny story from Friday. It involves Coach Dakota. But Jack, last week we called up 27 traders from XFAs to live. We only offboarded 10 live accounts, so we had a net add of 17 traders. So it was a really good week overall last week as far as performance from the funded traders. This week, we are off to a really good start, too. I know the last couple weeks I've mentioned, a little bit of red on the boards and stuff. Today is not the case. It's looking good. We got a lot of big P&Ls. We got way more green than red on the live account. So I want to give a couple shout outs to some of these traders. We've got Jake up 2,000 today in his live account. Solomon up 11,900. I'm going to talk about him later today. Shervin up 9,400. Christopher 5,500. Bhavani 4,000. We've got Wang, who I'm going to talk about in a little bit here too. He was up 7,200 last week.
Mm.
And regarding P&Ls from last week, I was having lunch with JD. This is a funny story, everybody. It's about Coach Dakota. He's sadly down about 9,000 in his account today. He hit his expanded daily loss limit, but I know he had a really good week last week to the tune of like $24,000 he made last week between a $12,500 winning day on Thursday and then some $9,000 winning day on Friday. So, Jack, I'm having lunch with JD last Friday, eating pizza. JD's like, he shows me his phone. He's like, Dakota's, talking about how much he's making right now from the golf course. I'm like, oh, he's bragging about his profits from the golf course. We're here working. I'm like, it's a beautiful thing being able to trade from the golf course. So I grab my phone and I text Dakota. I go, hey, I hear you're bragging about how much money you're making on the course today. You know, but what I really want to know is, what's your score looking like? And he goes, way higher than my P&L. I spit my frickin' pizza out. I was laughing so hard. He's got a good sense of humor. So I was happy for him on the P&L, but I was like, but what is that score looking
he
like? And
made
he
he
said,
made like
way
nine
higher than my
grand, didn't he?
P&L. Yeah, it was like 9,400 or something like that. Pretty nice. This is one of the businesses where you can do that. I've worked from the golf course myself before. I've worked from the boat in the middle of the lake before as well. Old Wi-Fi card. I think that
Ooh.
was back on the 3G days too. Definitely wasn't doing any high frequency trading. But yeah, so that was kind of fun. That was a nice way to that set me in a good mood for my afternoon and going into the weekend. So thank you for that, Coach Dakota. Nice job last week, and big shout out to him. Even with today's losses, I mean, he's right under his account balance highs. I think he hit the $170,000 mark last week for account balance, and that's really impressive. It's been 67 short days that he's been trading that live account to get there. So big shout out to you and your sense of humor, not only your trading. Jack, I know you're ready to dive in. Let's pull up the cards. If we could get Ivan B's card. And, Jack, I feel like we don't do a lot of Chicago natives here on the show. It's everybody's from elsewhere around the globe. So it's fun to do one of our locals, Ivan, trading out of Chicago. Ivan, I did not look up your address to see where you live. I just know you're in Chicago and you're trading well. So this card is I was curious, but I won't do that. this is a shout out. Ivan got transferred from XFA to Live. He was one of those 27 people that we called up last week that I had mentioned. And there's a lot of good things to talk about here. He's trading the equities, S&P, NASDAQ. It's, pretty much what our traders are trading here at TopStep. Net P&L, $544. He traded 38 days in that XFA. So we had a pretty big sample size, and all these metrics here on the card are a large sample size as well. So averaged $544 a day. He's at 55% winning days. Average winning day, $2,340. Average losing day, only minus $1,726. I like this because he's in 150K, so he can lose, more. And he has hit daily loss limits, Jack. His worst day was like $3,360. But worst day is smaller than the best day of over $5,100. And I really like that average winning day is about $600 bigger than the average losing day. That's nice. You really need that when you're putting up 55% winning days. And, to go along with good metrics, let's look at it on a winning trade basis too. He is right a sliver less than half the time on his total trades. So 48% winning trades, but the risk reward's really good here. The risk reward being he's taken down $1,152 per contract while only risking $577 per contract. He's taken about 4 trades per day, anywhere from 1 to 4 lots. So he's not trading huge. He's not taking huge losses. He's able to be consistently profitable over those 38 days, which is a nice long period of time in an XFA. So I really like this a lot. That's why the risk team called him up to Live. Go ahead.
I was going to say, I mean, that's a bigger sample size than we usually get. 38 days, 4 trades a day. You're talking close to 160 trades in this account, and putting up those sorts of stats seems sustainable to me.
It's definitely sustainable, and that's what we were looking for, because you'll see if we're only seeing half of the trading days being winning days and half of the winning trades being half of the trades being winning trades. If you're like 50-50 there, we want to see that you're maintaining an average winning day that's greater than an average losing day. We want to see that you're maintaining that risk reward, which he's easily at 2-to-1 risk reward. So we have people that can be profitable over short periods of time with those 50% winning days and 50% winning trades. But as far as a call up goes, because again, we want to call up only the best traders, the most consistently profitable traders. If we don't have a large sample size and see that, hey, he still is maintaining that risk reward ratio, we might not give the call up there. So we've seen it here over a long period of time, and we like that. So I want to cover a couple things I like and an area to improve here. So I mentioned the risk reward. I really like that. Hold times too, Jack, are pretty good here. Spending 18 minutes in his winning trades, only 7 minutes in the losing trades. So the hold times are good there. He is also paying himself, and I think he's actually got a schedule because he's taken a payout on the 25th of the month for each one of these months. So I think that it seems like he's taken one payout per month. And I like that, and I wanted to talk a little bit more about that too, because whether or not I'm just completely wrong about him kind of scheduling these payouts once a month, I think it's something that everybody should consider. We do want to be regularly paying ourselves. You don't have to do it every 5th day that you put up, because our payout policy is every 5 winning days of $200 or more, you can take a payout. Doesn't have to be that. It also doesn't have to be on the 1st and the 15th of the month. So you don't need to take it every 2 weeks, but it's good practice, to regularly take payouts, whether you're hitting a new account balance maintenance level, you're hitting new account balance highs like Dakota. Take a payout, Dakota. Doesn't have to be a huge one. So a regular routine for paying yourself. And Jack, in my experience and from what I've heard from people, when I started talking to, people that were in the business longer than I am and knew better than I was, I asked, like, how often do you take payouts? Everybody was different, but you should be thinking about this. This is something, payouts. We're all here to take money out of the markets. We're all here to preserve capital first and foremost, but the goal is to make money. And it should be part of your trading plan. It should be part of your business plan. There isn't a single person out here, whether you're new to trading or you've been trading for a while, you're in the combine, you're a funded trader of ours, you need to have a trading plan. It can be simple, it can be basic, it doesn't need to be overly complex, but payouts are part of the business. So consider ahead of time what you want to do as far as maintaining an account balance level, scaling your business, and taking payouts. So I like what he's doing. The last thing that I really like too, if you look at the trade report, Jack, is their trading early on in the account is a little bit different than later on in the account. They made some adjustments. They were taking some larger. They were taking more trades early on. They were taking larger losses early on, and I've seen more consistent profitability in the last 75% of this trade report than I did in the first 25% of it. So I think they got kicked around a little bit early on and kind of changed things. It's a much cleaner trade report looking at those last 30 days than the first 8 days. So I know that there's been some small adjustments made there that made, and a little bit of an impact when it comes to that average daily P&L of 544. Speaking of adjustments, that kind of segues into my areas to improve here. Ivan's not always hitting the daily loss limit on his losing days. As you can see, the average losing day is almost half of what's allowed for the 150K. But there are a couple days that got out of hand where they hit the daily loss limit. It looks like they hit the $3,000 daily loss limit 5 times. And I wanted to frame this out from an extrapolation standpoint about how a small adjustment there on those days, and granted, most of those daily loss limits of 3,000 that were hit were early on, like I had said, in the first quarter of their trading activity that we have here for the 38 days. But, if you could trim that $3,000 daily loss limit to, say, 2,000, which is much closer in line with the average winning trading day. Remember, we don't want our average losing day to be any greater than an average winning day, or we don't want our biggest losing day to be greater than what we can take down on average. So if they could have just made an adjustment where they were risking, less, $1,000 less, and they stopped at $2,000, that adds up to money. It translates to an extra 5,000 in their account across those
Yeah.
5 daily loss limit days. And the account balance is healthy, but it just puts it into perspective that a little tweak going from 3,000 to 2,000 on only 5 small occurrences could be an additional $5,000 in your pocket. And that's how traders need to be thinking. We need to be, stingy with our money. And once you get it, keep it in your pocket. So overall, really good stuff. And I think this is a great XFA to Live call up that we had with Ivan here, our Chicago local.
Yeah, let us know what neighborhood you're in, Ivan. If you're in the chat at all, we'd love to see that. Yeah, awesome stuff. That area of P&L is very dangerous near your loss limit because, as I've said before a million times, it goes a lot faster. It's like the Hemingway thing about how'd you go broke. It was like at first slowly and then all at once. Like that second half of your loss limit disappears so much faster, but it's all the same money. So keep up the good work, Ivan.
I'm drawing a blank on where I heard this, but I heard it recently, and I don't even know if it was trading related. I'm just going off the cuff here, but like any great thing, you could build up something great over a long period of time, and then all it takes is one bad day or one bad decision to wipe it out. I mean, that's trading, that's
Mm-hmm.
life in many regards. So yeah, just let's keep ourselves contained a little bit to the downside. But overall, that's a shout out. Speaking of shout outs, I want to kick it over to Wang, one of our live traders. This is a shout out and a shoulder tap. Um, I want to give Wang a shout out because he put up $10,300 last Friday to put his
All right.
weekly P&L last week at 7,300, which he definitely needed because his average daily P&L is negative, minus $71 per day. He has spent a long 54 days trading in this live account. So at $71 in losses per day times 54, I mean, he's not exactly treading water, but to lose 71 bucks in a day on average is not too bad. But it is starting to add up, which is why, got to give the guy some credit. He had a great week last week, and hopefully that's a confidence booster. Um, the metrics here are not astonishing. I'm seeing Wang, he's trading the metals, the equity indices. He's got gold, copper, silver, Nikkei, S&Ps, NASDAQ, and then he's doing some currencies too, predominantly, though, trading the equity indices. But there's kind of a lot to unpack here. Not all of it's bad, but I think that he struggled spreading his attention across all these asset classes.
Hmm.
Um, I will say probably so. Okay, we'll go to the metrics here that are up on the board. So, 19% winning days, not so great. 33% winning trades, not so great. Some great things are, though, that his average winning day, despite being fewer and far between, it's about 4 times the size of his average losing day. So, average winning day, $4,000. Average losing day, $1,000. I will say that this was. Oh, that's the other guy. Give me a second here. Just want to
No
confirm.
problem.
Nope, that's the other guy coming up next. So, average winning day being 4 times greater than the average losing day. Awesome. Best day is about 10 times the size of the worst day. Really, really good there. But like that average 19% winning days speaks to there's not a lot of winners. Because there's not a lot of winners, I'm so fortunate. Wang's so fortunate. I'm so happy that he's in the 50K account size
Uh-huh.
because his losing days that he butts up against that $1,000 daily loss limit. I think that's the only reason he's still in an account. If he were to be, so he's very smart that he's picked the right account size with the right risk parameters for someone who trades like himself. He's got that speed bump of $1,000. Yet he can put up 10,000 on any, not on any given day, but on his best day, and then 4,000 on the average winning days. So I don't know. Is there anything that you're seeing here, Jack, that you want to comment on?
This is a pretty. I'm trying to think of what the correct word to use for it is these days. What's it called? Like it's kind of like a Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde thing going on here. There's a lot of all over the place here. When you look at like the number of products traded and then taking 8 trades a day with 33% winners, I'd have to assume that they are just maybe sort of YOLOing, you know? I don't know if they're just trying to ride like
They're definitely trying to ride something. They're
the
trying to
gold
catch some
move or the
trend.
silver move or something like that. Maybe that's where the big day comes from. Um, this is an interesting card, I would say.
It's
I,
interesting, yeah, and we got a lot
it's
of data here for 54 days. Um, if you look at some of their big winning days, Jack, you'll see like pretty long hold times. Anywhere from an hour to 4 hours. I think 4.5 hours.
Mhm.
So totally trying to catch the trend for the day. Um, and I think, if you're a trader that's looking to catch a piece of the trend for the day or the trend for the day, maybe take a page out of Wang's book because he's trading smaller, one lots only. And I think this is a good example to back up what I always say. It's pretty easy to make or lose $1,000 a day trading one lots. You
Mhm.
can also make 10,000 a day trading one lots, which is something that he did too. So,
That
you
jumped
know,
out at me. That's pretty wild.
yeah, knock it out of the park. That was a 5 hour hold. That was a 5 hour hold that day. Um, so really good stuff. And that was the gold trade. That day he made
I was waiting for
9,200
that.
in the 9,200 out of the 10,300 was gold. So yeah, 90% of that winning day was a gold trade, which is great. I don't see a lot of traders like killing it on the metals products like that or riding out a piece of the trend for the day. Um, I gave a shout out to one of our traders that we had met at the trader meetup here in Chicago last week. Really liked that Topstep X lockout feature. Said it helped him lock in a $700 trade in the silver, which is impressive. So this is Wang. I guess we should probably touch on a couple of the comments about. I kind of covered the things that I liked.
Yeah.
Areas to improve. With this daily loss limit being hit every losing day, if you want to extrapolate a little bit and talk about like what he could save, by just risking 900 instead of 1,000 or even 800 instead of 1,000, I mean, just park a stop there. With all the losing
Mhm.
days that he's had, that really translates to a lot of money, kind of like the example I used for Ivan, where if he could just stop at 2,000 instead of 3,000 over 5 days, that's 5 grand. Wang's in a very similar situation, although he's just needing to make a $100 tweak as opposed to $1,000 tweak. And we're talking about, that average daily P&L would be better than break even if that were to occur. So Wang, I know you're in China, but if you're listening right now, let's think about stopping at 800 or $900. And if you can do that, it'll really help turn things around for someone who's really, stuck it out for a long time in this live account. And I do hope you turn it around. Something
Right
else to
on.
consider, if you're looking for a piece of the trend for the day or catch a trend for the day, and you've got the brass to hold these trades for a while, consider and test different areas for entries too. I mean, if you're looking for the trend for the day, maybe you look to go long at a test of the previous day's low, or if you're looking to go short, test of the previous day's high. If we don't have range expansion to the downside or the upside, then that's a good level that's low risk potentially. Nothing's set in stone there on that though. All
Excellent.
right,
I think we have time for one more rapid tap.
let's get to Salman. Salman's a good one because he is the guy that I mentioned early on who's up just $100 shy of 12,000 on the day, up 11,900. We've talked about him before. Another one of our live traders. Here we've got some really good metrics though. Average daily P&L $765 per day, and he's traded 27 days in this live account. So we're feeling really good about this call up. Very profitable trader. They've been doing well. Trading the NASDAQ. They're only right a quarter of the days too, 26% winning days. The average winning day is about 11,000 bucks. I think you could say that's a little inflated by that
Yeah, I saw that.
$52,000 winning day that they had. Um, but their average losing day is 2,800, so it tells me they're not riding it out to the daily loss limit, which is good. Worst days, they got slippage on the $3,000 daily loss limit. Um, like their winning days, the winning trades is just a quarter of the time, but the risk reward's really nice there. It's a 3 to 1, 3.5, almost. It's better than 3 to 1. So they're taking down $3,920 per contract on the winners while only risking 1,200. So this is keeping the math on your sides. This is textbook keeping the math on your sides. They'd be down money if they had a 1 to 1 risk reward ratio, but because it's better than 3, closer to 3.5 or 4, they can afford to be right a quarter of the trading days or a quarter of the trades. So it's all about the math and keeping that on your side. I like that Salman's very selective with the trades, only 3 a day, and they're doing anywhere from 1 to 15 contracts. I see scaling in, I see him slapping on 10 lots. So
Yeah. We can
overall,
call
we're talking. We
we can
can
call some of
call.
these like YOLO trades, right? I see people talk about that, or like a gambling mentality when someone makes like $52,000 like that. Presumably that's when they were trading to 15 lot. But let me tell you this, there is definitely some skill. Now I'm not recommending everyone do this, but your average person doing this is not going to keep on holding a trade that is $30,000 in their favor. And at some point with Salmon, that day made $51,000. he was up $30,000 unrealized at some point and just kept going with it. And that
Yeah.
takes something that most people do not have. So I will applaud Salmon on that.
Yeah, big time. I'm happy you brought that up. It's tough, especially if you haven't had a winning day that's that large before to like, you know, stick to your guns. And if you believe that, the market can go to a certain price and you stick with it and you're like, I'm right, I'm right, I'm right. You have
Hmm.
confidence, because it's very easy to say, oh, I've never made 30 grand before. I might as well hit the cash register. And there's nothing wrong with that either. Um, you want to continually lock in larger winning days than your previous ones if you're scaling your business and trading a little bit larger. So yeah, I mean, it's tough. A lot of people trade their P&L, and if you're trading your P&L and you see you're up 30 grand and you've never been up over 10 grand before, uh, that's exceptionally difficult. So I got nothing but shout outs here. I think the only thing that Salomon could do a little bit differently is stop before the daily loss limit. You know, just because the
Yeah.
3,000's there doesn't mean you can't stop a little shy. I talked about it with Wang. If you stop a little early, it adds up. You always want to think about extrapolation. Wang's been trading in his live account 54 days, Salomon 27 days. So these things add up over the course of a year.
Yeah.
And if you're if you have the risk reward ratio of 3.5 to 1, you should really be thinking about long term stuff because realistically, you've got a very good chance of continuing to maintain an account and you know being able to take advantage of opportunities in the markets. Jack.
Yeah. Well, that's why Salmon is ranked number 7 on the leaderboard, JD tells me. So congrats to Salmon. Great job, everyone who was shown today, with a few caveats, but great card there. Mick, thanks a bunch for tapping the shoulders with me. Always love
Yeah,
learning more
you
about the
bet.
traders. All right. Well, we're going to take a quick break and be right back with group coaching with Robert and JD. And then I believe finishing the day today, we got Zach Anthony doing Power Hour with Dolby and Andre. Should be fun. Hope you all stick around, man. It's Monday. We're almost through it. Let's do it together. We'll be right back.